Alright, hello everybody, Saturday night. I am stupidly excited to throw her in the trunk. Jet, Pizza Mark, Omega Valoron, Jellyfish Queen, hello, welcome to the stream. No, it's the hype. If you guys are hanging out, we're just starting. We're about to do a PC build for LadySmirk, my wife. She's not technically a stalker and she's not technically 500 pounds like we usually say. But
thanks, Bunches.
Miss Hooligan, hi. Thanks bunches for coming in. We are gonna do this thing. I'm decently set up here. I'll show you guys the cam split in a minute. Let's go here. Okay, let's swap us over to here. Boom. I believe this will be good. So I'm using the C920 webcam for the second camera. But first things first, if you guys aren't aware, here, I guess I can show it like that. Oh yeah. I start with the motherboard. I don't even break out the case until quite a while. It's the way to build. When I first ever got into PCs, I was like, oh yeah, you put the case on, then you put it all in the case. No, it sucks that way. No. It is so much easier to get your motherboard, get like a couple things on the board first. CPU, RAM, CPU cooler, and like an M2 drive, which is what we're gonna do. The M2 drives are stupidly small. So doing them outside of the case is like super huge.
You said we were gonna
okay, let's see. I'll try to do this nice unboxy fashion. With this nice, what do they call it? Cellophane? Is that what this stuff is? The anti-static. Okay, let's see. I've never worked with AMD stuff or Ryzen stuff. I might have had an AMD PC like a long time ago, but I don't think I built it. So. I am not grounded. I do not have a static wristband. I have never used those. If I fry the board, then that's gonna suck. We're gonna end up with a big old trash pile, most likely. It's so pretty. Here, they got all of this stuff hiding underneath, though. Alright. We're definitely not gonna need a CD drive because we don't have a CD drive.
We have one.
Here's a quick start guide if anybody uses this, which I probably won't. Yeah. Put your CPU in, clamp it, put your cooler on, screw it down, put your RAM sticks in, stuff like that. So I have not actually worked with these. How does this work? We just pull that up and then we'll clamp down. Here's the man of the hour. I think you meant Ryzen is a huge brand. Yeah. So, I mean, there's only two processor brands. AMD, Ryzen, and Intel. AMD has come a long way. Before this last couple years, most people wouldn't have even been buying an AMD processor for like gaming and streaming. And now it's starting to become like a featured thing. Yeah, so pretty. Something so small can do so much. You know what I mean? Tor, hi buddy. I don't know if I missed you popping in with the blood trails. Pakas, you're right on time. We were just getting started. Okay, let's see. This is just the cooler. All CPU coolers now come with the thermal paste pre-installed. So if you're ever taking these out, there should be paste on the bottom. Don't do what NG did just recently.
What? Did you touch it?
And set this on your desk.
Didn't.
It's not really focusing very well, but the white part of the center, there's just pure paste right there. So you don't want to like take this out and set it on your desk without the plastic.
Wow.
How was that in there?
I did not know he did that.
It has a little cone thing here so it doesn't touch your desk if you set it down.
Thanks.
This is probably the most important thing in your entire PC. This is called an I/O plate. You can build your entire PC and not put this thing on, and then you may have to freaking undo everything and put it on afterwards. But it'll probably boot fine. But it's very easy to miss this thing and not put it on the back of your motherboard. Or in the case before you put the motherboard on. NG's, so NG set his on the desk. And it just left a little bit of thermal paste on his desk. He put it in. It should be fine. Theoretically, if you really wanted to go special, you would wipe it off with 99% alcohol and then put some new thermal paste on. Usually you do like like a pea-sized thing of thermal paste right on the middle of your CPU. And then you put your cooler on top, of course. Each cooler that comes with the processors now, some Intel ones don't come with one, so you have to be mindful. They will get the job done just fine unless you try to overclock or do anything crazy.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Hooligan, I have everything but motherboard, power supply, GPU, SSD, and RAM. That's
A problem.
most of the PC. I guess you got the CPU. These I will not actually need. The only drive going into this PC is the
So,
M2 drive, which is the size of a finger. Pizza Mark, I see you, Carlton, dancing on the CPU. These things, it absolutely blew me away. This is a 1 terabyte hard drive, and they're virtually the fastest hard drives you can get. And once I take it out, I don't even understand how it's possible. They're so small.
Marius is asking you.
Okay. Pretty game for PC build stream. What CPU you got there? This is just a Ryzen 2600. It was like $115. So
Testing it.
the deal could not be passed up. Oh, it's an ADATA XPG is the brand. It's not a Samsung Evo. I do have an Evo in my PC. But the other brands have come a long way now. The Samsung Evos are still like very top of the line. But you do end up paying a little bit of a premium for them. Okay, how does this pop out? This is you got to be careful with these things. You don't want to bend a pin, break a pin, drop it, nothing like that.
Please don't do
It's like the most scary part of the build is messing with the CPU and getting the CPU in and the cooler on. All right, so you can line up and see
God.
there's little divots on the back,
that. That looks painful.
and there's also on each side 2 here, 2 here. So we're actually gonna go in sideways, which I don't like. Is this why NG's cooler was on sideways? Why does AMD put them in sideways? I'm looking at the board. It has as flat as it'll be, and the Ryzen logo is gonna be like facing to the left.
And you got a Ryzen?
Why? All right. There. It literally, you don't even have to push. You shouldn't have to push on your CPU at all. You basically get it on the things, and it'll just thunk. Is that a plastic cover or on the CPU? No, there is nothing on the CPU. Besides this, if that's what you meant.
Look, a sticker. Is that a sticker? Put on the...
Oh yeah, there's
How
a little
your
sticker.
laptop's at?
Imagine if somebody thought that you put this sticker, like this little sticker. What if somebody thought you put it on top of the CPU? Oh, that would be terrible.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Pushing on it.
Okay, that should be in there. Okay, that wasn't actually as forceful as Intel's. At least the last Intel I did. When you put this in, you go to clamp down. The Intel one almost feels like you're gonna break it, because it's pretty beefy. Trying to think if I want to put RAM in now, if I want to do the cooler. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna do the cooler. I haven't done one of these yet, but everything is already there, I think. Hold on. So 2 screws on each side. But we don't have a place to put the screws on the board. I think we take these off. Do we take the bracket part off? Or do we just take the screws out and then screw into where the screws are? Exactly. So what I believe happens, and what Bearded confirmed, I think, we take the screws out that's in the bracket here, and then we just use the screws that are on into there. This is a magnetic screwdriver, by the way, for the most part. Specifically for that M2 drive. That is the only thing I'm worried about, because that screw is the pain in the ass to put on. Okay, so we should be able to angle this in a way. I really want the AMD placed up. Yeah, I think we'll be okay like that. That's not right, though. It's gonna make me do it like this. So NG sent me a picture after his build the other day, and it pisses me off. It's like a pet peeve. I really want this facing up. Like this, right? Because the motherboard orientation. But it will not, it's not a possibility with the way the screws are placed.
The card is sideways, so of course you're going to have to put the...
Yeah, I hate it.
Mount it sideways.
I hate it. I hate it so much. Take the back plastic brackets off. You have to take the back off? What the fuck? I can't even tell how many this is. The whole fucking window is full. Papa Panda? What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm sure you guys are getting spammed in your chat window too. I'm just like sitting here trying to catch up reading a little bit, and then it's just like we ain't building a PC, I guess. The fuck? I'm supposed to be moving it, but I can't do this for 40 gift subs though. Come on. Oh my god. Salty Papa Panda. Thank you. I don't even know. I'm gonna keep moving on this thing. So Bearded, I appreciate you. Since I've not done this before, I do appreciate the help. You're saying we take these off completely. And the actual back bracket too? Or we leave the back bracket on and then we screw into there. Alright, I guess you could technically put this the other way too. Where's my fan header going? I'm all about aesthetics. Familiar with PC tech all the way back to 83, 86 days since 1999. Yeah, I am gonna go this way because I actually want the cable to be spread a little so it's not hanging over the RAM. I can't even do this. I can't function right now. I need to shimmy.
I like to move it. You like to.
Boom, 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 boom.
I like to move it. You like to.
Huh? You usually don't want to tighten like one screw a bunch. You want to go like corners so one side doesn't get crazy, you know. So if you guys didn't see this before, it was kind of hard to show. This is the back plate that comes pre-installed. Dura, there's the 3-month resub. Thank you, Dura. Sometimes you have to change this back plate out if you get an actual non-stock air cooler.
LadySmirk. Hell yeah.
Is that? Or if you do a AIO, which is called an all-in-one liquid cooler, you'll have to change this back plate too. But basically, every cooler will have their own back plate kind of thing. That is quite honestly like one of like, it's not even hard,
Oh my god.
but it's one of the more like, I guess, careful, tricky parts. The next tricky part that I absolutely hate is this little M2 drive. I only hate it because I did it in my full build at the time when everything was all in there. Also, while the case was standing up, you'll find why, because it has the tiniest screw and the tiniest just pieces ever. Like I said, I'm baffled by these things. I don't even understand how it's... This is literally the entire thing. And when I got my 970 Evo in this one, I'm just like shocked.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, sing it, tip me over it. Let's go.
What the fuck?
Boom.
Panda, you're literally paying for this entire PC right now that we're putting in. What the fuck? So, Panda, you didn't know that is a specific sound that is never heard and should never be heard. For $10,000 or $100 donated. My God. What was I doing? Okay, over here. This is what we were doing. This is the only hard drive we will have in this case. It is 1 terabyte, and this is literally the size of it. Like my middle finger is quite literally bigger than this entire drive. And it costs about the amount of bits that Papa Panda just gave us. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, we were gonna put this in somewhere. The little pins there, they kind of look like the RAM slot pins. They are. There's only one on this drive since it's a micro board. It's this part right here. It'll slide in and then it'll like fall down, or not fall down, but you'll hold it down, and then there's a tiny little screw right there. And then that is where you'll screw in, or I'll explain it. I'll be doing it, of course, but so you guys can actually see some more. You guys want LadySmirk to do it? I joked with her. I was gonna make her do this. Obviously with me here. I think she can do it. She's worried about it. Everybody's worried about building a PC for the first time. This is kind of a big reason why I want to do this on stream too. Because it's not that hard. Not that hard at all. Trickiest bit is the cooler. Yeah, exactly. Like putting the cooler and the CPU on is tricky. There's also a bunch of these little pins at the bottom that are tricky because you do them once they're in the case and it powers the case and whatnot. So on my board, when I did it, it had the screw on there. Like the screw for the drive was already like in the board. There it is, I think. Yeah, that's it. And I just had to, you know, unscrew it and then do that. Wait, what are we talking about? Coconut. Pro build tip, splash a little bit of pineapple juice on your motherboard. Yeah, that's how you overclock it, with pineapple juice. Papa, you last build, you were in your undies, no static strap. Toes all in the carpet, just rubbing it all in. Yeah. I've not known anybody to shock their board into, you know, not working.
You better put your base back on.
I will.
Or my base back on.
Dude, this screw is so tiny. This is why I hate this
Not
part.
that small. You just have manly hands.
I do not have manly hands, by the
Yes,
way.
you do.
For proportion, these hands are very small. I have very small hands.
Hands. News.
Here, before I go to that,
I sure do miss the sound of that sub alert.
make sure they didn't put it at the wrong spot, or wrong slot. Pop, I love you, dude. I love you so much. Ooh. Okay, Tor, I don't know what you clipped, but thank you so much for that.
Your faces.
All right, you can keep a wrist strap for only winter days. Yeah, I've never tried a wrist strap thing. They're probably cheap and they're probably safe to go with. But it's like unless you do what Papa does, like rubbing your hands on the carpet, trying to get like electrostatic shocked hair and everything, you should be fine.
Can't leave. Where are you going?
All right. This is not going in like the other one. I know it goes in at an angle, but I don't want to force it. There it is. Okay. It's like a certain angle that it'll slide in nicely. All right. Is this actually... I hope my screwdriver...
Had a bunch of.
Ooh, okay. I don't want to make sure it's not too big. So yeah, doing this in your full build and then dropping the screw into your graphics card or down below in your PSU shroud, possibly into your power supply fan, is not a fun time. So doing this here right now, if you put a PC together, is definitely the best way to do it. So to recap, I'm just gonna do this build in like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. That's not gonna happen. We have put the CPU in. We have put the cooler on. We have put the M2 drive in on the motherboard. That's it.
When did I say that?
You're never too big. Oh, hot.
When did I say
This
that?
is the RAM we've got, Patriot Viper. We're actually sponsored by them, but I did not. This is not a free product.
Did you use the code?
Just to say. But we do have this available on their main website for Viper Gaming. And you can get 15% off with code SMIRK, this is the thing. But this is not a free product. I actually did buy this. So nobody thinks I'm shouting them out and like getting a bunch of free shit.
Because he's not.
We all blame Gucci. Is that a sticker? Yeah, a sticker. This is gunmetal RAM. Let's see if I can get these out. The Viper metal is even like glossy. I always want to be too dainty and not feel like I'm breaking them, but you want it? The keeper of the RAM.
It's cool looking. Click.
This is clocked to 3200 megahertz, or will be.
What mean?
What's what mean? There's speed on the RAM.
Hello, Gucci.
Hello. Hi, Gucci. What's up, buddy? How's your day been?
Why did you kick me?
I don't even know. These are two 8 gig sticks, so it'll be 16 gigs total. I actually do need to somewhat check that. I don't think the motherboard came with a manual. Usually you want to put them in 1 and 3. So there's 4 RAM slots right here. When you have 2 or just 2, you want it to be in dual channels. And most motherboards are 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. I assume that's the way this one is, but I don't know if it's going to tell me in this thing. Oh, Pacus, good call. I've always just looked at the manual. I think they actually do have it on there now. They do. How fancy. So they want 2 and 4. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it does.
That's so fancy. I always just have the motherboard manual and I flip through it. If you're trying to do it the right way, or if you're ever curious on something when you're doing this, the motherboard manuals basically cover the build from start to finish, like word by word. Or if you run into issues, they usually have troubleshooting to do for it. So there's only one wrong way to put the RAM in, and that'd be backwards. I believe the Viper logo is gonna help us out, but it should be fine. No, is the Viper logo backwards too? Aw, you mother.
So gonna be so angry with this.
I mean, I guess
hurting
it's
your
backwards
look.
in my head, but it'll be fine.
My computer. So.
I know, this is her computer and I'm complaining so much about so many things. Alright, come on. Oh, this is one of the boards. So let me show you. So this type of RAM stick thing, you see how I flipped these two up? How they flip up? Most of the ones I've worked with, these flip down as well. But on this one, these are all stuck. So it's only one side, which is fine, but yeah, me being picky.
Stop complaining. I'm gonna have to break my RAM now.
You do want to be pretty forceful on these, even if you get them in as well as you think you get them in. It's usually not in. They're picky as hell. Smack them. It's the right way and my entire head is backwards. You're probably not wrong. Graphics card will go there. I don't have any other special things. This is all you really do with the motherboard outside of the case. Now we'll have to get the case up here.
Uh-oh.
What?
Pulling the protective off, and I know how you feel about that. We gotta keep that on
Well,
for 8
no,
years.
we don't keep this on a
Sure
computer.
we do, for 8 years.
No.
You kept yours on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so we have it's called a Dark Flash DLM22 white case. Ooh. It's actually quite small. Well, it's not quite as small as I was thinking it might be, but tempered glass. It's got a PSU shroud, which is what I for sure want. It just makes things look so much cleaner. I've got a scope out in here if they have, which they do, little bags and stuff of their screws, because they hide these things. Yeah, the IO shield. I was saying, Pockets, that is the most important part. This thing. You can bend these things off. You just want to make sure they don't get like bent into your USB ports, which I actually had happen. I can speak for this. These little things, that you can like push your motherboard in and it'll like go into a USB port and it'll just jack things up. Okay. Bottom corner. There we are. Now the standoffs. Does it have standoffs?
Chips and fish.
So these little black pegs here are the motherboard standoffs. Some cases have them automatically, some don't. And they might come with a motherboard. Some cases you don't need them. It's really odd. But if you install a motherboard without these that needs one, your PC will not boot. It'll just be like a short or like a ground, and your PC won't start. Because I've had it happen. And it took me a very long time to figure out what the fuck I was doing wrong. So I had to take everything up. Yeah, I'm just going to place it in real quick and see if I need to add a standoff. Or just see how things line up. It's my first time on anything but a not regular ITX board. Oh, it's missing the corners.
Gotta pop it back in, man.
I'm double checking these little port things because, like I said, I don't want one to sneak into a USB port. Because then you basically have to take it all back out if you ever want to use that USB port. I got really lucky with mine. One of these pins got into a USB port, and I was able to like get some really small needle nose pliers and kind of pull it out without having to take my whole motherboard back out. But
Oh, hi, Callie. Thirsty.
what we've done so far, obviously, we got the motherboard out first. You put the CPU in, which is under this fan, or CPU cooler. So CPU, then CPU cooler, then RAM sticks, and SD, M2 SD drive, or SSD drive. You do all that before you get it in the case, because it's much easier to do outside the case. This is where little stubby screwdrivers, not like this screwdriver, come in
Why didn't
handy.
you bring the little one?
Get little stubbies, because then you don't have to deal with like the side of the case. But it's working fine. It'll be okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay,
Glad you can count.
I can count. Okay, so we can go a couple directions here. Really, we're just gonna pick it up and probably put the power supply and route cables in the back. All right, so I think we're gonna flip this over, go to the back of the build. Everything should be secured in. And at least route what I need out real quick, or we'll put it on its side probably. Okay, just taking the back part of the case off. If you guys are like not trying to build a whole new PC and want to upgrade, if you're gonna upgrade, the easiest things to do is the RAM and the graphics card. The rest kind of gets a little more involved, but if you're trying to do an upgrade, not a full build yet, look at RAM and graphics cards first. So all these cables come off of the case itself. It's all pre-installed to the top of the case. It's the power button, the USB ports, the little headphone jack on the top. Some of these are really easy. It just says USB and HD audio, all in like one big pin header. This one, I think, is the USB 3.0s. These three are easy, super easy. The ones that get tricky and are kind of a pain in the butt just because they're so small are all of these little things. Oops. These little guys. They're tiny, and you have to plug them on these little tiny metal pins in the case, which is a big pain in the ass. So that's why I'm doing this without the graphics card in. And I do want to route this back under the case as much as I can. Also, the most important part of a PC build is cable management. If your PC looks like a rat's nest, we need to throw it out, okay? Okay, can you guys see that? It says HD LED, right? Usually in the motherboard, there's a whole section on this. But where I'm going to be working in these little tiny pins here, it also does have a little diagram above, right there, that does say where each one goes. So that's what I'm going to be doing. It's just a pain because it's so small to deal with. So I'll be kind of AFK from the mic for a minute. Here on this one, there's no positive and negative. Each of these pins also has a positive and negative that you got to get in right. But this little one's not telling me actually which one's positive and negative. So we're gonna have to just go with the way everything else is going and guess. No, not really guess. But the bottom portion of the pins, the names are facing down. The top portion of the pins, the names are facing up. So that should be the guide. All right, that's the next hardest part. What? So I'm gonna have to split these. This is USB and HD audio, but the pins are not next to each other. The USB's here, and then my HD audio one's over here. So I'm gonna just split that route around. Not that it's a big deal, but it's a pain in the ass.
Battery?
This is the she just asked what this little battery is. It's called a CMOS battery. You can pop it out and reset your BIOS if you ever need to. It's the only purpose. Otherwise, you shouldn't mess with it. Messing with the BIOS is pretty high among things I avoid doing. The BIOS isn't that bad. As long as you just don't go changing things that you don't know what the heck they are. Alright. Last little one here is the 3.0 part. Yeah, USB 3.0s.
Cyber money deals.
Oh. You guys want some music? You do a little music. All right, so really next thing is gonna be power supply. Is that the only thing we have left?
Fans.
Oh.
Don't you leave my RGB.
No, we got
filter out.
fans. We'll probably do the fans.
Kelly.
Okay, so these fans, I haven't worked with a fan that actually has these, like a fan controller. Usually I just work off the motherboard. But this does have a fan controller. Comes with Velcro to stick it on. Little fan controller, you can control, what is that, LED speed, mode, fan speed. Those are buttons you can actually push on here. And then a little remote. And our fans. The outside of each part will be the RBG. Or RBG, yeah, not rated battlegrounds, RGB. Alright, do we have indicators on here for push-pull? There's always an arrow or something. There's no arrows on this thing anywhere. Usually there's an arrow to say which way the push-pull. The side that has the naked hub blades is the intake side. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't click in my brain. I always just look for the arrows. I'm actually amazed they don't have arrows on it. No, this is one of those that we have to take out. We don't take off the whole front. We take off, like, the part inside. Oh, thank you. Here's so I can try to explain what's happening. This side over here is screwed in, but it pops out and then lifts up and comes out. So you put the fans in and then you place it back in. This is a pretty decent way to do it. Take it out and do it all. I kind of like my case better, for the fact that I can take my front panel off and then the screws are right there for the fans. Like literally just pop the front pop it off and then you're good. With this, you have to take this little whole bracket thing out. Kind of like another step. All right, this is what our final product is. So the way things should be, if I get my orientation right, I routed these so that they'll be towards some ports on the top and bottom, so that I can route them in behind the case, and not through the front of the case specifically. I believe we go back in this way. All right. So this is a semi-modular power supply. What that means, on the back here, it has two cables, which would be the semi part. One for the motherboard, one for the CPU. Every PC should have these, so going semi-modular isn't that big of a deal, but you cannot disconnect these in the back. What would make it fully modular, and why it's semi-modular, is these. For the rest of them, plug in what you need, and that's what the modular comes in. Yeah, it will screw in. That didn't come with screws. I'm gonna use these ones, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I assume it takes 4. Okay, so I should be good to route power supply cables. Hook up this one real quick. I'll route everything and then we'll throw in graphics card basically last. As long as I route my cable out, we're good. Okay, CPU, this one's gonna route up in the top. See if I can get us a better view. So, if you can tell what I'm doing, our cables come from down here at the bottom with the power supply, right? I'm gonna end up routing all these and they will eventually look something like that. I'll have them zip tied in one nice line. And my CPU one's gonna sneak over here because that's where the CPU power is, which will be nice. Okay, poke that one out. Our main big daddy plug should be this one here. This one specifically is that Molex one. The only reason we need this is for that fan header. Wait. This way. There we go. Don't put them in backwards. It doesn't work. Female to male. And then the ultimate area for cable management, shove things right there and you're good. This is the graphics cards. It'll either say on the sides VGA or PCIe usually. I really only want to use one of these. See if I can get away with not showing the other one. I mean, really? No, I'm thinking about putting the back on, but not yet. Just so you guys can kind of see more what I'm doing and what I fed out. CPU up here, and right behind the cooler is where that CPU power plug in. That's why I routed it out this way. That one right there is the main motherboard power, the biggest plug. And you could tell how these go in because there'll be a little clip on the side of these plugs, and they can only go in one way. The only thing that's sticking out here is the graphics card one. That's the only thing we have left. And I guess I can throw that in now. So, see how much like easier it was to do all the stuff on the bottom here with this big graphics card not being in? Trying to get away with not having to see some of this junk here, but we're not gonna get past it. Since this graphics card cable only has one thing and it has another attachment on it, I was trying to hide that second little part sticking out. I'm not gonna be able to. Not yet. What I mean is this little dude. I will zip tie him though, probably. So, I know it's hard to see there, but every graphics card has power up here. And it depends on how much power they need. Most of them now are 8 pins. And this specific power supply cable had a 6+2. So you want to put both on them. If you have power on your graphics cards, you want to fill them all as much as you can. My newest one that I just got, the 2080 Super, actually has 8 plus 8 on the power. So, pretty crazy. Do you notice there is a gap? What do you mean? A gap where? High tempo. Do the 2 pin first and 6 pin? I've always done 6-2. Oh yeah. Good call on that. I don't think it would hurt anything. But they have a little locking mechanism. Not locking, but it's supposed to be to where you can kind of cinch them together. Yeah, I know what you mean. Usually it just does it on its own when you put it in. But good call. Okay, now let's get our screws on for the actual card on the back. And that is virtually it. We just gotta clean up the back. Any space under the card? Yeah, there is. Not a lot, but there's some.
There's plenty.
Here, let's see. Should we flip this? Zip ties to save this massacre. What is really neat on my other case that this does not have, along this line here, there's Velcro straps built in, so you would like feed all your cables and then strap it.
I Velcro strap.
So for this instead, they've got these here. This is where I will run the zip tie, right there. Once we have cables in place, and then I'll go around it like that. Alright, this is a fan one. It's not gonna be long enough to do what I want. So we'll route down this way. Okay, like I said, I believe we're good. Let me preface this real quick. What I just did, cable management. You probably shouldn't do this until you've actually loaded it up, because there's a slight chance that you may have to go back. But really, I should be able to work with everything the way it is. If you're worried about your PC booting up, you might not do all this just yet. Like AMD, I find they have a great bang for my buck. Bang for my buck. Yeah, they've got some good competition against Intel now. How does this go back in? Now, let me just double check this here. I probably shouldn't put the glass on yet, but we'll see. We'll just move it over there. Just plug it in. I don't have a keyboard set up for. I think I could do everything off a mouse to get that Windows going, but. Oh man. Let's go plug it in and see if it lights up. The moment of truth, the most nerve-wracking part. If there's lights. There's not always lights, okay? And the best PC builders in the world can sometimes get a PC that doesn't boot. Either faulty parts or RAM sticks a lot of times are just not seated. They like to be taken out and back in sometimes. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna go move it over. Hold on. Okay, so it loads. That's a good thing. Camera placement blocking my ass. Does it perfectly? Great. Now, it does boot. I'll have to mess with the HDMI. But it does indeed boot. 100 right on the case. I like it. Thank you.